Many thanks for keeping a date with us on the program Politics Today on ITV Network. In today's program, we've got a couple of interesting stories we're going to be highlighting in the next 15 minutes on the program. Trust you stay with us from now for the next 1 hour and be part of the program. As is always the case, our studio line will be open so you can also be part of the conversation. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has inaugurated the National Economic Council with a charge to the members there is no room for failure. We've also seen in the last couple of days some definite actions taken, some special advisors appointed. This has been hailed. But one of those special advisors that has really not gone down well, particularly those in the security circles, is the National Security Advisor with the president of former EFCC czar, Nuhu Ribadu, taking charge. Well, there's a saying that to occupy that position, you got to be a former military general. For generals, they believe that only one of their own can occupy that position. That's a true test of character, leadership, disposition of Mr. President in the days to come. EFCC chairman has been suspended, currently undergoing investigation, and CBN governor has been suspended, also undergoing investigation. A couple of other heads of agencies under the former government are either going through investigation or be prosecuted in one way or the other. We'll be talking along those lines. About 15 days or so of President Tinubu's administration, some key actions have been taken. One of them is the loan facilities for students. Some are saying, well, these are quick wins the president is trying to bring out there to get public sympathy and support. How true that is, we'll look at that in the course of the program. Let's fast forward a little bit to another trending issue. Back home in Edo State, the 9th Assembly has been inaugurated with Honorable Blessing Agbebaku emerging as the Speaker. We say big congratulations to you and to the newly inaugurated members of the 9th Assembly in Edo State. But we hope we will not get to that point like it was in the days of yore, where battle axes, cutlasses, machetes, guns, pistols were flying all around. We hope the leadership will ensure that they complement the government of the state, the executive, to ensure that things turn for the best for the people of Edo State. One man is in the eye of the storm. He's over 80 years old, a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Ahmed Bukachua, during the valedictory session in the National Assembly. He came out to say that he did help some of his colleagues to influence the decision of his wife, who at the time was the president of the Court of Appeal. We'll take a listen to that story, and then we'll get into the groove of the program today, Politics Today, on independent television and radio.
Particularly my wife, whose freedom and independence I encroached upon while she was in office. And she has been very tolerant and accepted my encroachment and extended her help to my colleagues.
Distinguished.
Just when the senator was to say more, the Senate president called him short. But the cat has been let out of the bag. I extended hand of friendship or fellowship to my distinguished colleagues while his wife was the president of the Court of Appeal. That's a major talking point. But let's meet our panelists today on the program. From my immediate left, let me thank very especially a political watcher, Idris Zakari. Idris, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. It's always an absolute delight to be here, especially when I have to share the stage with distinguished brothers and friends of highly intellectual prowess. Thank you for having me.
Let me also welcome Barrister Abraham of Yahweh, a human rights lawyer, public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be here.
We also have with us here a political activist, Comrade Collins Amadi Osangai. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, viewers.
The president of Network of Civil Society Organization of Nigeria. Let me welcome Comrade Emmanuel Ugbidi. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers.
Okay, let's get our conversation started with the first few actions by Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the last few days. What do you make of these actions? Let me begin with you, Idris.
There isn't very much to criticize in his actions so far, save for the rather reckless removal of the fuel subsidy on the ground on the inauguration without no groundworks that created the initial shocks that we have seen. Save for that, majority of his other actions have been run-in-the-mill kind of actions that you expect a president to take. I would be very insincere to praise the appointment of special advisors and people who will be in his kitchen cabinet, like his secretary to the state government and the chief of staff to the president. There's really nothing to comment there until they begin to take the actions. Whether he invented people from the moon, angels from the moon to come and take those offices, it's quite obvious that we have the same people who have been in government running these same positions. And to what extent they will succeed in these new positions is left to be seen. Posterity is the only judge of that. So largely, while we commend his swiftness to action, you know, the last president, he was termed Baba Go Slow because he was unbelievably slow in taking action, especially when it comes to even the basic actions of the president. This president, although, has gone quite fast. So we have had a Baba Go Slow and we saw how it ended. We're having a Baba Go Fast now. We are also going to see how it ends in the course of time. But there's not much to comment in the actions of the president so far.
All right, Pastor Viawe, quickly.
I feel that subject to what will happen later with respect to legitimacy, I feel that the president has started well. If you ask me, being proactive, you will see interface with critical stakeholders of various facets of the economy, trying to put things in order, and the swiftness in constituting the National Economic Council is one thing we must commend, and with a charge to all of them to get things radically done. And you see removal of persons from office, suspension. It's natural. It's natural that it will happen. Every government want to come into full steam with a team who he understands, those who can work and direct their path towards his own mirror of development. Nothing much to say, but just to say that I have nothing to say negatively about him as he stands. I think he's taking the right step at this earliest time. There's no vacuum in government. He's there, and I think he's not doing badly for the now. Even though it's not, there's not sufficient time. The time he has spent is not sufficient enough to score him. But just to say that I think we have a fair start.
All right, Comrade Collins Amadi. Yeah, this is a lovely question that you would love to respond to.
Thank you very much.
To us.
I am only thankful to God that my brothers have concurred to the fact that Mr. President has started well. And the only prayer I owe him just now is to pray that God continue to give him strength and that vigor to do the needful and make Nigerians smile. Just as we are beginning to see gradual smile coming in. Because it's not something you begin in a hurry and wear out after some hours. For me, I will be very unpleasant or disappointed if he goes back door. I expect with this pace he has started and this team of appointment he has started making, I can confidently tell you that these guys are superb, that the best will come from them. You know, even for about 60% of the persons he have actually appointed, many of them have not been in the public domain as such, apart from very few of them too that some of us know. Even those few ones we know they were best among their equals. You know, as at the time they also had opportunity of serving before now. So I'm very convinced and I'm very happy that he has started well. And my joy too is the fact that he owns so dearly the interest of the youth. Okay. With what he's done so far, even with the cabinet he has been able to put in place, I can also bet you that large chunk of them are youth. And policies he have also put in place or implemented so far or laws that he has assent to, most of them had to do with taking care of the less privileged and the youth, as it were. So for that, I think I give him a thumb, and I pray that he continue in that pace.
All right, Comrade, quickly on your part.
Yes, on my part, I think to a very large extent that the expectations of Nigerians has not been met in the past 15 days or 16 days by Mr. President. If you ask me, it is usual when we have a new chief executive in the nation, we see the firing of one or two officers. For me, I would have expected somebody like the INEC chairman to be suspended. Because if there's any sector, if there's any agency of government that is under trial, as it were now, it is the INEC, for example. Mahmoud would have been suspended so that that office can be properly suspended, can be properly investigated as to what happened and what transpired. Should the president be able to muster such courage to take such action? Secondly, we would have also expected Mr. President, having made a very reckless statement in the opening of his inauguration when he said fuel subsidy is gone. And that brought about a lot of tension in the state and in the people, in the lives of Nigerians. We would have expected by now something like state of emergency be declared in our refineries across the countries. Warri refinery, Port Harcourt refinery, Kaduna refinery, state of emergency. $1.5 billion was earmarked for turnaround maintenance for Port Harcourt refinery. Nothing happened. Him asking questions into that area would have given Nigerians some sense of belonging that, oh, this aspect of fuel subsidy removal, something is going to happen different from the usual.
Okay.
So the suspensions that we've seen is kind of sending signals of vindictive actions. Okay, during the elections, we saw the positions of the CBN rolling out policies ordering that were not, favorable to the money-back politician, to the bullion.
But still, those policies didn't favor even the ordinary man on the street.
And to a large extent,
yes,
the first action is the removal and investigation of
CBN governor.
The CBN governor. And EFCC, we also had EFCC had Ahmed Bola Tinubu under investigation, not President Tinubu under investigation.
Okay.
And now he's under suspension. So all of those suspension firing is usual of politicians that wants to take over the stage.
Okay.
But what we expected to see is the unusual, and that is what we will not see.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for those opening lines. Let's go straight to the issue of Senator Ahmed Bukachua, husband of the former president of the Court of Appeal, who at the valedictory session of the National Assembly said he had to intervene for some of his friends to get some influencing on his wife to get judgment. It brings to question it brings to the fore the raging issue of how our judiciary system has been run. Why some people say judgment is basically a cash and carry business. Gentlemen, let's dissect and give our perspectives on this. Let me start with you again, Idris.
It is, many years ago, Fela sang Paddy Paddy government, Wayo Wayo government, Arrangimo government. What that means is that government of who you know, by who you know, for who you know. What Bulkachuwa has said is known to even the common man. We had a former governor in this state, in this country, whose godmother was a Supreme Court justice, and he won all his cases in the Supreme Court, not with the exception of none, all. I give you a good example again. The former governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, the present Senate President, Ahmed Lawal, the former Senate President, the immediate past Senate President, Ahmed Lawal, the present Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, all ran to be president in this country. According to the new Electoral Act, lawyer, correct me if I'm wrong, you cannot run for 2 offices in one election cycle. I'm interpreting it now as a layman, I'm not a lawyer. However, this gentleman ran for president, went back to their Senate seat miraculously, removed those who won party tickets in the Senate of their political party and won the Senate and are today leaders in the Nigerian Senate. So that explains to you that Bukachua has been of tremendous help to his friends in the Senate as the husband, as the first man of the appeal court, being the husband of the former president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Bulkachuwa. Again, if this was to be in a reasonable place, because it's clearly unreasonable that after how many hours, after how many days of that statement, no investigation is ongoing, no one has been arrested, and nothing is being said by those who are supposed to speak. I'm not talking of NBA. NBA is on one side. Now, Justice Bulkachuwa, if it is to be in a reasonable place, all the judgments by Justice Bulkachuwa
will be reviewed.
By now will be reviewed. Not just her. She had under her more than, I think, lawyer, correct me again if I'm wrong, 70 judges of the Court of Appeal in all the divisions across the nation. It then means that if I am the chairman of the Court of Appeal, and you are my husband, and you're in the Senate, and the senator wants to be kicked out by the judiciary, and you need my help, I can talk to my wife, and my wife she has the reach to all the judges of the Court of Appeal to make sure that whatever comes to you comes good. Okay. So it is obvious. The man made an unsolicited confession. He was not under investigation. Imagine you now bringing me to come and explain further. Imagine the kind of revelations you will get. Don't forget, Rocha Sokorocha said it on the floor valedictory session of the Senate. He told his colleague, his former boss, who was the Senate president, that he's coming back to say he needs to learn from him the miracle he used to come back to the Senate. So it's a miraculous society.
Let me proceed there, Barrister. We talk to us about this development and then the state of our judiciary, because often at time this seems to be the reason why, even though we say the judiciary is the hope of the common man, people doubt that statement when scenarios like this come out. Yeah,
it's a shame. It's a huge shame. These are some of the issues I always wrestle with the temptation of talking about.
Because you're a lawyer,
yes,
and one day you're going to be in court facing some of these people.
Lawyer, I'm a practicing lawyer. I go to court. There is no week I don't go to court 3 to 4 times. So we see these things play out. It's a shame. And to my mind, I would have expected Bukachua to allow his wife rest properly, having already retired, rather than pulling her legs. And I asked myself, what would have happened? Was he the evil spirit? Or he had a divine visitation that would have compelled him, while there were issues being discussed on a valedictory section, he goes out of the way to make such kind of, like my friend actually said, unsolicited confession. He was not specific as to who and who benefited from it. And if we were to look at the issues, or if what they have done constitute a crime or corruption as it were, I feel that he would have been caught by the principle of conspiracy. He is an accomplice in the said offense. But unfortunately, sir, the valedictory section is a section of the National Assembly. If you see the order paper for that day, I expect it's like a plenary session, but it will itself be marked as a valedictory session, being a ceremony in itself. And you know that in the legislature, you cannot proceed criminally or civilly with comments made on the floor of the legislature. And as such, he enjoys some level of immunity with respect to that. That is my own perspective. I may be wrong. But I'm only trying to look at it, trying to take the matter beyond this end. But just to say that we expect, in the days, they used to say that elders are very wise people. I expect that Bukachua, from all standards, is a senior citizen of this country, whether you like it or not. I am told he wanted to come back to the Senate. He was unable. Maybe he's still yet to recover from the bitter pills of how he didn't come back. And I keep asking myself, what would have given birth to all that? First, it's an issue which any sane society will condemn. Even all religion, we abhor such kind of comments, as it were. That a man ought to be a senior citizen. Elders, they say, are men of wisdom, without tact, poorly thought out, and reels it out. But for the intervention of the Senate president, even while it would have been a opening of a can of worm, even though he opened it passively. Okay. But not in all. But what I feel is that a lot needs to happen. A lot ordinarily needs to happen. Our judiciary is not one anybody will be proud of in recent time. Okay. Because you ask yourself, quite frankly, if you look at the issues, how the likes of Ahmed Lawal, who had contested for the presidential primaries, and that of the Senate, the senatorial primaries have been concluded, candidates have been emerged and have been sent to INEC. Yes. And that man, as it were, had gone to court. Sadly, he lost. Sadly, the man lost on technical ground. The same Supreme Court have said that the era of technical justice are gone. And you suddenly say that a man has brought a thief to you, and you are concerned about the fact that this thief must go because you did not convey the thief to the police station with a police vehicle, but you convey that thief to the police station with a keke napep or a private vehicle. The argument is that such action came before them by way of an originating summons. That it ought to have come by way of a writ of summons. They were worried about the vehicle with which they brought the case before them. And because he had come through a wrong vehicle, notwithstanding the veracity of his claim and the weightiness of it and the reality, even in the face of clear obvious laws that precludes him to achieve it in that manner, that matter must die, haven't brought the criminal with the wrong vehicle. Okay. And I feel that our Supreme Court should give us confidence in this profession. They should find a way, like Justice Waifo in his victory speech when he was to leave the Supreme Court. He said, may the Supreme Court not become an undergrowth. I hate to see judges be harassed on the way. I would not be proud to see judges being stoned on the street of this country because they are taking this country to short path towards anarchy. All right, let me get you in there.
Thank you very much. You know, if I've had 200 clips in a year for any interview, probably 150 in that same clips have talked about how sad I have felt about Nigerian judiciary. You know, even if anybody want to comment Nigerian judiciary, I personally will never, for a very long time and up to just now. Not until we begin to see a total revolution in the judicial system. It's very unfortunate that the problem we have find ourselves in this country were castrated by the judiciary. In short, 85% of the underdevelopment in this country was brought about by the judiciary. And I can say that over and over again with a lot of proofs. How can another statesman like that, probably maybe he took a lot of very harsh kono before he went on the floor of the House, to have even, put on the mic and blackmail not only himself, the entire Senate, as it were, because what he just said brought down the integrity of the Senate. That means everything they were doing there was just broader paddy activities, which ought not to be, but it's quite unfortunate. We have just found ourselves there. We hope in months to come, or probably years to come, someone will visit that clip. If not on the basis of the senator himself, probably the children may have to listen to what their father said at the time, and that may have an overall effect even on the entire family, as it were. So, but however, that is the appeal court. What about the lower courts that have also been misbehaving? Most of the lower courts have been misbehaving. There are a lot of issues that have come before them that are of pressing and urgent issues that they ought to treat, that they refuse to treat. For example, the 14 House member in Edo State, that their issue was so pressing. Up to just now, the whole legislative year is gone. 4 years is gone. He's still on the first stage of hearing, not even on an appeal. Have those judges done well? Are those people needed not to be probed? Are those who are also in the Supreme Court? That means the same rope have invariably tied all of them, both the big and the small. If they want to probe themselves, I think even the NJC does not have what it takes to probe them, to even constitute a body that should probe the judges. Maybe we would have gone through what former President Muhammadu Buhari wanted to do by way of invading them in their houses and hijacking them. But some Nigerians were crying that they should allow the autonomy and the freedom of the judiciary to continue. That he is harassing them so that they will be giving him.
That was an infringement, direct infringement on their policy.
Yes, because the way many of them were going, they needed that kind of invasion.
So
but
committee should be arrested.
But what the overall effect today, what are we not saying? Are we not still crying? Maybe if he had gone with that Jaquando style that he went, probably would have gotten some result. Some of them would have started looking back and behaving themselves.
Okay.
But they had the sympathy of many Nigerians, and at the end of the day, the president had to even apologize that he didn't send those who were involved in it because he has to run away. Okay. Probably because he got the first advice and felt, okay, if we go by this way, we would have a different judiciary. Okay. But when the outcry became louder, he felt, oh, probably the way we went about it wasn't good enough, and they decided to go the other way.
If someone
and the other way
crime,
too,
you arrest the
other way too is by constituting people to look into it, and those same people will also be corrupted. And that is where we have found ourselves. I just pray that in this very administration that had come up, with this beginning of concerned, I want to see that the president is concerned about how Nigeria have been, that it will metaphors to the legislature, from there to metaphors to the judiciary, that they will now use their own conscience. Because I've always said it, the person who is going to make this Nigerian work is going to be like a draft. Okay. One day he will just draft it.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will look at it from this very perspective, and to first of all congratulate Senator Bukachua and appreciate his courage to come out to expose the very height of secrecy and corrupt practice and tendencies within the elite. Because ordinarily, before now, we used to say that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. But today we have seen that the judiciary has become the worst nightmare of the common man. Elections are no longer won at the polling unit. They are now won at the court. The elite and the politicians are not very quick to tell you go to court. Go to court because they already know what you will see in court. They know you will meet the Bukachuaism or Bukachua factor in court and all of that. So I salute his courage. If it were to be in a sane society, his statement calls for policy reforms. Now, we need to take statistics of how many of Nigerian politicians whose spouse are either INEC, in Judiciary, in CBN, because sometimes you wonder why the ordinary Nigerian, no matter how intellectually balanced, qualified, robust, they will never make the list of these appointees. And even when they write the same exam, in CBN, you can't find them there, sir. In INEC, there are some positions you can never find the real Nigerians. In the military, there are some positions you will never get to. Now, it calls for questioning. And Bukachua has just told us how it's happening and why it's happening like that. His statement calls for concern. And if we were to be in a sane society, he needs to be invited, if not arrested. Tell us more. And that can give us a reform in the judicial sector. It can give us a reform in the judicial sector. Okay, if your husband is a political office holder, appointee or elected, then your spouse cannot be the president or XYZ of this sector.
Yeah.
Because we have we have the executive, we have the judiciary,
And
we have the legislature.
Yeah.
Now, if I have 2 wives, God forbid, as we have it in the northern
God has done it to
part,
forbid it.
I have 2 wives, and one of my wife is in the judiciary, and another one
It's in INEC.
is in INEC. My brother, if you like, get all the qualification and mobilize all the Nigerian voters, I will wait for you.
All right, thank
Because
you.
I will skate through.
All right.
So this factor, this confession should be applauded, and we should encourage more of them, especially those of them that are very close
To where they are going.
To where they are going.
All right, all
So
right.
tell us what has happened in the past, so that can form the basis for the reform that
And
will change this
something you
country.
just said now that's struck a chord in me is the revelation by, Senator Bukachua. Senator Ali Undume has also made a similar revelation to
Yes.
say either his wife or one of his wives, is a highly pleased judge.
Yes.
In judiciary. And that's something that has pervaded our society. And just like you said, it's a clog in the wheel of progress in the judicial system. I'm trying to remember the former governor of Rivers State, Peter Odili, whose wife was a Supreme Court justice, as it were. Some of the judicial pronouncement that was made about Odili at the time.
Obvious.
They call it
Yes.
order of
Perpetual injunction.
Meaning till he dies.
Barrister, can give us some legal interpretations to that.
Yes, he can only investigate his dead body.
perpetual injunction. Does that exist in our laws?
That's what you have seen. That's what you have just heard and seen. That's in the extreme. Have you ever heard that the EFCC has got to invite him since then?
No, never.
They have been restrained perpetually.
Okay, let's move fast on our conversation. I don't want to lose track on the issue that we've lined up for discussion today. The Edo State 9th Assembly has been inaugurated with Right Honorable Blessing Agbebaku from Edo Central Senatorial District, Edo North Senatorial District, emerging as the Speaker. Well, some say this is a sign that the consideration of the governor, the next governor in 2024 coming from Edo Central, is just in the offing. How true that is, only time will tell. But let's just quickly go back into the State House of Assembly and the last dispensation. In the last 4 years, the House didn't have a full complement of its number, but it ran its full course. Those who didn't have the opportunity to be inaugurated, at some point, it was all over the media space. And then even their own constituents started blaming them why they didn't get there on time for them to be inaugurated and all that. Just a very crazy scenario. Well, let's have a go on this. Yeah.
I want to, because I've had a situation where I spoke on this matter and it was completely taken out of context. I think this is another unique opportunity to correct that perspective. I condemn in totality the crime scene that was purportedly the last State House of Assembly.
It was a crime scene?
It was a crime scene. I call it a crime scene because it was a flagrant, a blatant disregard for the laws of our country. A House of Assembly must have 24 members. The last one had 10, controversially 14. The number was oscillating between 10 and 14. And they passed laws, they approved loans, they did a lot of things in the last 4 years that was disgraceful to the body politic of Edo State. So that house was a disgrace. I insist it was a crime scene, and whatever that house did, I will beg my lawyer friend here to talk to the court so that it will be declared null and void. I wish I had the competence, I would have done it. That is for the last house. I am happy that everybody have learnt, although the mistakes of the past are yet to be corrected. But I am happy that they've learnt moving forward to properly constitute the House of Assembly regardless of party affiliations and political leanings. That is the way it should be. The House of Assembly is not an appendage of the governors. And this is the recklessness that we have seen in governors who want to appropriate at least the Senate now, they can confess openly that they have been buying court judgment for themselves. But the House of Assembly has been appropriated by the governor, and in Edo State, we took it to the next level, not we. The leaders, the government of Edo State took it to the next level with the House of Assembly now operating from one of the sub-offices in the government house. That is a disgraceful attempt to appropriate the State House of Assembly as a commission under the state
But the House of Assembly has been sitting in the
state government
Anthony Nauro complex.
No, they just went back. Just recent. They were for the latter part of that assembly. They were in the office of. They were in the government house
4 months ago.
Yes, this is the truth. Look, I have happened to be close to the governor and conversed with him. So this is now out of hatred. We are talking of what can help our society.
Okay.
Now that said, this new State House of Assembly, the dramatic personnel. Now let's jump the last one that was a disgrace. Let's jump to the other one that was equally as disgraceful but properly constituted. The one where there was battle axe, there was gun, there was shooting, and there was jumping on fences and the likes. The dramatic personnel in that State House of Assembly are some of the key actors in this State House of Assembly now.
Yes.
I want to believe and I want to pray that they do not import some of those attributes. I want to believe that with age, men as mature. They did not import some of those youthful exuberance, not youthful because that would be an indictment on me because I am a youth. Okay. Some of those elderly exuberances into the new State House of Assembly.
That's agenda setting for the 9th Edo State House of Assembly.
Yeah, I think Edo we heave a sigh of relief where a lot of the constituencies didn't have representatives who apparently will represent them owing to the politics that played from their inauguration. It was a shame, the midnight inauguration was a huge shame, and they pushed it. No thanks to the judiciary. I would have expected that those issues that were presented to them for adjudication, in the minimum of a year, they would have dispensed with it. But they held it to themselves, played all the politics, and they held on to such cases for the better part of the tenure, and it went nowhere. Now we have a new State House of Assembly headed by Right Honorable Blessing Agbebaku, now the leader. I recall his role in the assembly before this that just ended, how in the full glare of the media he was armed with a battle axe and hacked down the current deputy governor, one on his head and on his leg. The videos are still there. If you watch today, the deputy governor still lips a little when he walks, arising from such disastrous happening. And we're not told that such persons were charged. We're not told that such persons involved them.
Because it was just a family affair. This kind of disagreement could occur, and then they settle back home. You're not aware, privileged to know some of the settlement that has taken place backstage as a family affair, as an internal affair.
Yes, that was a compounded felony. If they had done that, it's good, but it's compounded felony. It's a crime that was committed on the glare of the media. We all saw it, we watched it, the videos are still very intact in some of our archives for posterity's sake. But such person have found his way into the House of Assembly and as the Honorable Speaker. Let's assume that all things have passed away. All things have become new. Now that all things are now become new, we expect that with the help of hindsight and experience, a Blessing Agbebaku-led House of Assembly comes with a whole lot of experience. He has tested from the bitter part of it. He also was in the house where things were moving smoothly. I expect that you bring that experience to bear, to be able to handle, because the crisis at that time was with respect to the issue of speakership. I expect that having a next speaker, he must understand the failure of his predecessors in office and the failure of that assembly he was part of. Use the help of that experience to ensure that everybody is carried along. The judicial arm of government is the legislature is not, should not be tied to the apron string of the executive. Those who propounded the
separation of powers,
the principle of separation of power, as propounded by Montesquieu, they had wanted a situation where they should be totally separated, but with the help of checks and balances, with the help of checks and balances, they can interface and they can ordinarily meet. I expect that we will give all the support required for all the members of the assembly, and thank God the deputy speaker is a seasoned lawyer and a former state chairman of a FIDA. I expect that Madam Mary Adeko, former commissioner for social development, will come with the experience from her legal practice and an appreciation of the law to guide properly, and let's have an assembly which will better the lot of Edo people, make laws for the good governance of the state, and give us a clear direction towards Eldorado. We are not saying they should resume a fight with the government, work peace in the state, but they must engage constructively. All right. They must only pass laws that will better our lot, and they must ask questions, please.
Colin Samadi, yes. We just apologize a little bit. Actually, the 8th Edo State House of Assembly, not the 9th like we erroneously presented earlier. Yes, quickly go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. For me, I don't believe we're in the 8th House of Assembly. We're in the 7th House of Assembly. Owing to the fact that what happened in the previous...
But you're taking over, I thought you said all things have passed away.
No,
all things have become new.
By law, which Barrister Avia will note very well, by law, and when the time comes to really gazette, we will not gazette Edo State as a state that had those dispensations ever existed. Everything they did will be null and void. It's so obvious, and it's unfortunate too that those who claim they have gone to school and learned could not advise the governor to say even these things you are doing, all these things you are doing or they are approving for you. With time, these things will be counterfeits. It will not exist. The Lord that may come there may say, let us pardon you, and assume it was out of ignorance. But it will not be gazetted as if those people ever, or that section.
So those monies that were approved and have been expended,
I don't know how, I really don't know how history, I don't know how history is going to go about that.
Okay.
Some may still have to go to jail in the nearest future, but they may also be pardoned, but I really don't know. But I can bet you that history, it may be 10 years time, maybe 20 years time, but somebody will come who will play back history, and at the end will appropriate a law that will help us make our leader do the right thing, not on the basis of how they see people's face. Okay. How can, as for example, being human, you just, because these are human errors, and that as well can be corrected. How can you assume what kind of fight that would have gone to that level, that somebody who was elected for complete 4 years, you bent on the person not representing, and most of these people would have used that opportunity to assert themselves, prove themselves, and from there, metaphor into another level. You did not let deny them that opportunity of showcasing the talent or that which they have inherit, but you also affected their future. Many of them couldn't even contest anymore. Some of them couldn't even raise money to buy from their political party to give it a try again. You think they are happy? They are not. But I know history may also refer that, oh, they should be paid whatever they were owed, because those were the arrangement that when we hold them for a very long time, even if court now later say let them be paid, we are no more there. But what will history say about you? Okay. Now for this new section that had just come, little will I say, because all of us here have been an actor in all of this for a very long time. Short since I can bet you that from 2002, most of us here have been part of seeing how even the House of Assembly has been constituted and how they've been running. Now our friend, Honorable Blessing, has been made a speaker. That word speaker, I will just appeal to him that euphoria should not override his sense of reasoning. He should understand that it is time to serve. It's an opportunity for him to write his name with a golden pen. It really doesn't matter. He may have fallen short before now. But just as we have said, all things have passed away. Probably all things should become new in Christ Jesus. Okay. Now, he should take a golden pen to write his name, Blessing Agbebako, from so local government, from so village, and people will remember him for that. Okay. Not like others we have seen, that will even forget their own best friend, their friend just because they became speaker or they become a legislature. Let him aggregate all the members in unity, outside party affiliation. Let them think the people first, and let them be concentrating on oversight. Because oversight is a very key, not just making laws, Because sometimes all these laws they are making is just becoming even too much. Must you make laws? Must you say you have made 30, 40 laws in our own session? The law, at what effect did it, what impact did it make on the life of people? Okay. In short, I was propagating somewhere yesterday. I said this Senate and House of Reps, they should even stop making laws for now. Let us work on those plenty ones they have been making before. Let me before recapping. I want to appeal. Yes. They should consolidate on oversight that we saw many years ago. Okay. Legislature used to do a lot of oversight, and this oversight help governors or help executive to do their work.
Just before we open our studio line, let me get Comrade Ima Ugbidi to talk to the issue of the 8th Edo State House of Assembly agenda setting.
Thank you very much. I think, first of all, let me congratulate the new lawmakers, and as a matter of fact, we must see it from this perspective. You see, speaking about the last assembly, let's begin to encourage political activism among our office holders, who many a times can find and muster the courage to question the rationale behind some decisions taken by either party hierarchies, leaders, or executives to push forward a superior argument. My brother, some of these 14 lawmakers were eating big starting and pepper souping in Abuja while their godfather was a national leader. They had a little argument normally that happens within legislature. If you understand legislative business, even from common student union, my brother, it is not jojo. It is war always in the house before they come out. That engagement ordinarily would have been something that the House will engage themselves. A lot of them left. They went to Abuja and they were enjoying themselves. They forgot that they were elected to represent a whole constituency, not to serve the interest of a particular individual. That is where I faulted them. And trust me, in every politics, there's no vacuum anywhere. Your opponent will take advantage of either your ignorance or your inactions, and that was what we saw played. And if the judiciary could not live up to expectation, and up till now their constituencies were abandoned, it is the fault of those lawmakers who never came to represent their people. Now, this new assembly, you know, before this the election of the Edo State House of Assembly, there was a lot of hula baloo everywhere. That some persons were coming and the purpose was that they are going to impeach the governor and they were going to do XYZ. I want them to disappoint the minds of many Nigerians and Edo people and beat the expectations by coming together, looking at the status of Edo people and seeing how to make laws and engage in legislative business, of which lobbying is part of the instrument, to bring development to their various constituency and make Edo State what it is supposed to be. I would not want to expect that this House of Assembly will be such that will bring about all forms of anarchy, where they will begin to fight themselves, according to one of our brothers, where they finaga. Now you will be very surprised that even very yesterday, that somebody who was alleged or somebody who we saw in the media was engaging another lawmaker, the then majority leader, with all forms of weapon. It's now the speaker in his own party today. That is to tell you that there are a lot of things that are placed beyond the scene. Now we must caution them. We must beam our searchlight on them to look at what and their interests are in engaging in legislative business.
Okay, thank you, comrade. Let's take some calls. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling us from? This is Politics Today. 0807777003000. What's your name?
Hello?
Yes, good morning. Go ahead. We're listening to you. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
Is that ITV?
ITV, you are live on Politics Today. Please go ahead. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Elijah. I'm calling you from Mago.
You're calling us from where? Okay, please go ahead, Elijah.
Yes, I want to say that whatever somebody does, the ultimate state is what is important. Because Sikh told Babia governor today, ex-governor tomorrow. The Isako that I come from, we did not have a representation of all legislators we elected in 4 years. We did not that. The Isako is developing. As we say today, we don't have any commissioner representing that same area. We are still going on. So what we are saying is that whatever you do to say you want to punish the people should stand up and make sure say they encourage themselves to make sure say their area is not backward. One of your people said that marrying one wife or two wives and having concubines is good. No. Anywhere that is not legitimately married is sin that you are committing. It's adultery. So if you think that we take that other side, because God is not with us physically, do what you want to do. Whatever at the end justifies the means. That's what I want to say. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Elijah, our first caller. Studio line is still open, just on the verge of concluding the program. The line is open. Dial the number and talk to us quickly. 080-7777-0300. That's the studio number. Quickly, as we call it a wrap on the program, the Edo State House of Assembly is a major focal point because we have a full complement of the State House of Assembly. That's a clear-cut departure of what transpired the last time. Let's just get final words on this and we'll call it a wrap. Let me begin with you, Idris. Be as brief as possible, yeah.
I think it's time to make progress, and I think in the final analysis, I want to beg politicians across board, because we discuss the lengthy issues today, across every stream of the society. Politicians should have the fear of God. It's because people don't have the fear of God, that's why they behave like God. If you have the fear of God, you behave like man and let God be God. Let them have the fear of God. That's my final thoughts.
All right.
I think I somehow have some level of confidence in the current House of Assembly as constituted, because I can see some good heads that have found themselves there. I am assured that they will align themselves to the best endeavor for the people.
Please turn down the audio level on your television or radio. Turn down the audio level. Yes. Good morning. All right. We lost that call. Hope you can get back to us as quickly as possible before we call it a wrap on the program. Good morning, caller. What's your name and where you calling from? Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, talk to us quickly.
Please, my question is pertaining to that student loan.
Okay.
My question goes thus: who qualifies for the loan, and what are the criteria? Is it a student that has father and mother and a big guarantor? Who is going to be the guarantor of a student that is qualified for a loan? My name is Amasu Benedi. Good morning.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that question, but you know exactly who to direct that question to, and information is there actually in the public space on how you can access the loan. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Mr. John Sensivio. For me, for 4 years in Oredo West, no representative from House of Assembly for 4 years, Oredo West. Okay. So I was not happy. For that 4 years. Two again, the same actors. Yeah, most of them are the same House of Assembly now. Lastly, your panelists today, I'm happy. The way they put the issue before Edo people and Nigeria, I'm happy today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Collins, yes, final word.
Yes, I think one, the new speaker should know that he just won a mugging quo. At any slight mistake, I'm sure he knows the number in which...
He knows the game.
Good. So at any slight want to override on others, he will be kicked away. And two, they should also know that even most of their cases are still in tribunals and all of that. So many are just to warm or enjoy that place for a while.
Are you talking because we have the likes of Bukachua?
No. I'm trying to remind them so that within the period some of them had, they should try and build the best of history. Because some of them may excuse why some others will come in. That one is sure.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, talk to us. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Sabero. My name is Kansala.
All right,
I just want to quickly say something like that Bukachua, whatever.
Go ahead.
I stand in two ways. Because he did not confess anybody, he was just saying it. That was why the Senate president shut him down. What they are deliberating on, you are bringing something else that is not even part of what they are deliberating on. If your wife does anything, that is between two of you, not bringing it to the floor of the house where people are talking about how the country will go. Then you are not bringing your wife, how you help people, how you do this, because you are not coming back. That is why you are not bringing that issue.
Okay, let me get Obidi quickly.
You know, I want to admonish the new lawmakers that they must make the House very independent at this point in time. They must not allow external influence to affect their decision and lawmaking. They must not allow Abuja politicians, Abuja influence to affect their businesses. And as to a very large extent, this administration, Edo people are expecting a lot from them in terms of oversight, in terms of constituency engagement, in terms of needs assessment before budgets are passed. So in this slide, we need to see a lot of public hearings, public and town halls engagement before laws are passed. Not just when laws are to be passed and the next day you heard that laws have been passed, budgets have been passed. Let's see public engagement. Let's get town halls, meetings where the people input can be seen and reflected in their decisions.
All right, that's our package today on the program Politics Today on Independent Television and Radio. We hope you had a great time today. But just to add that, views canvassed here, particularly from our panelists, they're not the views of the station. They are entirely the views of the guests that are here on the program. But to be honest, we look forward to a better society, and that can only happen when we all play our roles as individuals, as institutions, as elected political office holder, as appointed political office holder. With respect to Edo State House of Assembly, we hope the State House of Assembly will actually play its overall oversight function, I beg your pardon, in ensuring that there is good governance, there is transparency, and there is accountability. We also hope that is replicated at the National Assembly. But I saw a video recently, the new Speaker of the House of Representatives. On his inauguration, he was with one of his wives. And while that inauguration was going from nowhere, the second wife came and shoved aside the first wife came. I don't know which is the first now, but one of the wives came and shoved aside the other woman. And it was going to be a state of commotion. So if we have a man of that status, a man in such a situation occupying such an exalted office, I'm just wondering what level of impact is it going to make. I'm not trying to deride him or anything, but we should always look out for the best of the best in bringing leadership to position. That's our package today on the program. Thank you, panelists. Imam Ogbidi, Collins,
thank you very much.
Yahweh, and Idris for being a part of our program. Have a great weekend, and bye for now.